Hello, my monstrosities. Hello once again. Today I bring to you a bit of an issue. Somehow, someway, it seems that Riot forgot that they had an answer to the problem they claimed that was in the game. In 11.08, they nerfed a bunch of abilities, and it has been causing a bit of a tizzy for some time. But I'm trying to understand why they did it the way that they did. They already had a solution for this, and they introduced another one. Now, right now on the screen, I have two of them that have the same solution, and then the third that was the new solution. It should be said that there is another agent that has the same answer as the first two, that being suppress. Tejo has suppress on his drone, fine. But KO, suppress on knife and ult, ISO, suppress on undercut and technically ult. And then in 11.07b, like a week or two before, or was it even days, before 11.08, they introduced Fido, who has Interceptor that can eat projectile based abilities and cannot be affected by non gun ish abilities, weapon equip abilities, I should say. Or not even that, because Rays, but with, evolution. But if you take a look, going back to these three, none of them are doing quite hot in the stats. We're going to quickly just look across three websites to see, make sure that we've triple checked everything, where they are. So, coming down, Veto, 48.25 win rate, percent win rate. ISO 47.93, KO 46.05. That's op.gg coming to u.gg. We go down, Veto 48.4, ISO 48.0, and KO 45.5. Then finally, let's look at tracker.gg past u.gg. We have Veto at 49%, ISO at 48.5, and KO at 46.9. So, why is this? Well, they did do something right regarding the lever. When it comes to game balance, you cannot nerf the problem and buff the solution at the same time. That creates drastic power shifts. However, they ended up, in a little bit of the cases, nerfing the solution and the problem at the same time. Especially when you look comparatively to these agents to the rest of their peers in the class. Looking at Duelist, ISO is the only Duelist, along with Reyna. I shouldn't say only along with, but ISO and Reyna are the only Duelists that don't get their signature back for getting kills. Don't worry, I didn't forget that ISO used to have two shields and that got kind of crazy. But in the case of Reyna, technically you have two of those charges, and then when you get your ult, you get unlimited for the round. Looking at something like Neon, which could be an answer for ISO here, which is funny because it's only halfway the same thing. Neon, once ult gets popped, just gets the charge straight back. So ISO is the only one left here that has, okay, I have one wall, one undercut, and I better make the use out of double tap. Now, to be fair, it can refresh if you get the kill and you shoot the bubble in time. But why didn't they work on that angle? Neither of those are the suppress though, so we'll move past that. But just remember, our agent that has suppress on him isn't to the same design philosophy as the other duelist here. Going to something like KO has suppress on the knife and got the same recharge duration situation as the other ones that have a quote unquote scan. And now Sky joins the mix because they've realized, people want information back. So looking at Sova and Fate, we'll get to that too. Past the scan, they also at least have drones to back that up. Looking at Sky, who just got a buff for the guiding light that is similar in case to the KO knife, where it's like, hey, it has information properties, but it has a secondary purpose. KO, suppress, as well as information. Sky, a flash, as well as information. But even Sky also has a drone and has seekers that will let you know where they are. Then coming to something like Veto. This one might be a little bit weird, but I've talked about this before. Veto has Interceptor, where if you look at the Sentinels that place down their signature, his operates on a funky little timeline where it will just go away after you activate it. And that's a bit of a problem. What do I mean by that? So, you pop Interceptor, if they don't break it, it still pops by itself. You can teleport with Chambers Teleport and reuse that one. Cypher Cam, you can ping on and off. Vice Flash, you can reuse that flash from that same spot if you don't pick it up. GravNet comes back, sure. Technically, you can make a different case for Killjoy. However, it's active as long as you're in the radius and as long as it's not shot. Sage, Heal comes back. So, like, what are we looking at here? Well, it's the fact that if I'm going to place this down, I should be able to be rewarded for stopping the push. If I stop their abilities, yeah, give it the same cooldown situation as Vice. Where Vice, alright, use the flash, but I don't have to place another one to get value out of it. It'd be nice if Veto could just, oh, okay, they got stalled out for 9 seconds. I have about 10 seconds before I can pop another one. Or something like that. Or start popping util on that one. Or if it would operate it like a Cypher Cam, where you just, alright, I'm using it now. And then I'm coming off of it. That would be cool. So the KO fix. First up for KO, there's 2 options in my head. KO could either receive a massive range buff to match the other scans, which I would advise against because that takes away from the eliminating angle situation where it's like, I want to check this corner here, which would make that drastically tougher. Or you can do kind of like with Sky, where Sky gets 2 flashes, they give information, and they recharge. Give KO another knife and call it a day from there. Looking at KO, they've tried to buff the nade. They've buffed the flash. They haven't really touched the knife in too many meaningful senses. The other option is taking null command down to 7 points, where it is a enhancement ult, much like Empress and Evolution, which cost 7. I'd argue those can come down to 6 like Phoenix's. But, you know, if you want to put it on the same terms, I think this could come down to 7. Then, looking at ISO. Bit 1 that should be straightforward. Let him get his shield back if he is getting kills. Jet can dash all throughout the fucking round. Neon can dash all through the round. Phoenix is flashing left and right if we're picking up kills, which I would say is a little bit more impactful than some of these. Ray's throwing nades, right? Waylay refracting, yeah, fine, whatever. But Yoru teleporting here and there. I think that we are now in a time where ISO can get his shield back. And also, with kill contract, if you look at the other duelist, he's the only one that can't lead to the death of many enemies at the same time with his ult. You can argue that using double tap he can do the same thing that Reyna can and just keep going on a tear, or that Phoenix can with run it back and go on a tear. You could argue that. But you look at Ray's rocket, refreshing knives, a new lightning beam, running it down with a second life, hindering multiple people in the wave, Yoru pointing out the information of the entire enemy team. You might lose your kill contract duel and get nothing from it. And coming back to kill contract, it refreshes the duration of your double tap. However, it doesn't just give you that charge. I think we need to go back to the days of kill contract automatically just giving you a charge on you. Like you just go in there without needing to burst your one so that you have a straight up advantage without needing to invest something else while still being able to be a duelist, as you have taken yourself out of the game as well as the enemy. And then coming to veto, there's a couple of ways that this could go about. I'd suggest the first one, just letting the damn interceptor stay in the same spot and be toggleable, I guess. Stealth would help it survive, so that way I can place it in funkier locations. Maybe make it straight up Cypher Cam util. I don't know. The other options are the chokehold. It's actually a pretty good ability if people put more time into it, and they didn't want to give two trips to have another chamber situation. However, chamber has a free get out of jail instantly that can keep being used. You get two teleports. Mind you, you can cross the maps with them, but they're not instant and you have to be looking at them. So with that, if we're going to build on the power fantasy of Veto having map presence, I'd say give another chokehold. That way I can actually use one to hold it down for my own site and chuck it somewhere else to be usable on this dual purpose. Much like how they have Mix's Impulse, you can get a lot of things out of one situation. Or Vice's Thorns. You can throw them for a retake, for a take, and then keep people at bay as they're trying to come in. Or Evolution. Again, I just don't think that some of these need to be 7-pointers. I think you can take them down to 6 with Phoenix. So yeah, that's where we are on trying to fix why these win rates are so low. It shouldn't feel like I'm selling for doing the thing that I'm being asked for by Riot, which is enforcing gunplay. So hey, if you like the video, like it. Got a comment for me, comment. And until next time, peace out, my monstrosities.